Hello folks, and today we're in Chiang Mai in the north of Thailand, where I've brought you along to have a look at this plant market. So it's a market that locals use to buy plants for their gardens, to buy cactuses, to buy bits and bobs that they might use in the hobby that we all love, which is to do with plants. So I thought it would be really interesting to have a look at what the locals do, get a gauge of the prices and what's available, etc. So today we're in Kham Thiang Flower Market or Plant Market, and we're going to have a look around where there are very few tourists, which is, well, it's always a lot more interesting. So come with me and let's see what they have. I'm Rachel from Douentza Garden in Ireland, and today we're taking a tour of a plant and garden market in northern Thailand. You can tell from this map what an extensive space we're exploring. There is a key in English which shows what you can find where, but I fear my sense of direction will soon be lost. I will, however, prioritise finding section 6, which houses small ornamental plants such as cacti. In this video, expect to see beautiful orchid shops, plenty of unique clay pots, fabulous garden ornaments, tropical trees, cacti and lots more. You'll also see me buy a few pots to bring home, so stick around until the end of the video when I run through all of my purchases. And don't worry if it all gets a bit much. I'm with my husband, so he will insist we stop for lunch somewhere. If left to my own devices, I can keep going for hours. Let's start over here with a row of tillandsia, or the air plant known as Spanish moss, lining the entrance to the shop. They also sell ferns in here, but down below you can see how dendrobium orchids have been potted cocodama style, each with a tail of Spanish moss. Orchids and air plants are natural bedfellows requiring similar growing conditions. Whenever the orchid gets watered here, it dribbles down and waters the air plant too. The water-loving caudices on the floor benefit from the final runoff. The Spanish moss makes a gorgeous soft curtain to the shop, where I see lots of ferns on display. Several shops have these little spirit houses, in this case turquoise blue. The spirit house is a shrine to the protective spirit of a place and is found in several Southeast Asian countries. We have bromeliads on the ground, but inside are the funkiest looking ferns. These ones are soft to the touch, but I can't help being reminded of horsetail by it, which has very negative associations in my part of the world. Stepping outside again, there's lots more to see. Now we're panning over a range of houseplants, and these end with the beautiful calathea. There is stromanthe too, and these healthy looking plants are selling for an astonishingly low 50 Thai baht, which is about $1.50. We just glimpsed the corner of another spirit house in rusty red and with little incense sticks scattered around the front before we move on to a sea of water lilies. During my trip to Thailand, I saw so many beautiful water lilies in various gardens, making me sad to only have a tiny pond at home. We're just in time for a delivery of turf to this shop. I think we're in the landscaping section, and this shop, among others, stocks items for large projects. The turf is delivered in pre-cut sections and stacked here in the shop. They're going to have to hose that down regularly, despite being in such a humid country. The grass is very coarse to the touch. Not exactly what we call lawn at home in Ireland at all. Oh my goodness! Just look at these gorgeous paving slabs. They seem to be made out of concrete, but have the impression of jungle leaves, presumably pressed into them when they were still wet. When I say jungle leaves, however, it's no problem around here to find big leaves for this job. I just love these paving slabs to bits, but they'd be a bit heavy to come home in my suitcase. There are also water features for sale, and there are lots of ornaments, big and small. Some are quite tasteful, but others are a bit gaudy to my mind anyway. Those pink flamingos would give me a headache. There is a great sense of fun about some of the ornaments, and we'll see that later when we explore some clay pots. We're panning across some of the trees now, many of them fruit trees. Let's have a look at these before moving on to the orchids or clay pots. I just can't decide which of these two to seek out first. Here we have a pomegranate tree. These so remind me of Morocco and my stay in Marrakesh a few years back. And next we have a mango tree. Perhaps you already know, but there are different types of mango. I was astonished to discover this at the fruit markets in Malaysia. Yellow and green skinned fruits in different sizes. And down here, I can guess what plant this is already from the leaves. We have a lovely looking white aubergine plant. That's eggplant to you Americans. This road seems to have the orchid shops, and here we are at our first orchid vendor of the market. The shop is quite cramped on the inside, with numerous orchids hanging and in pots on the shelving. I don't see any labels, so my guess would be that these are unnamed cultivars. I see a price of 200 Thai baht on some plants, especially the den phals. That's around $6. More Dendrobium phalaenopsis hybrids for 200 Thai baht over here. I'm not sure what these deciduous dendrobiums are. Dendrobium farmeri and Dendrobium lindleyi maybe? But I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong. There are cattleyas too, like these cute little miniatures. These cattleyas have a very well-defined shape to their petals, an attractive feature. You'll see in just a minute how some of the larger hybrids have an amorphous presentation. They're selected chiefly for colour and size, not shape. But what about this row of gorgeous, oversized pink cattleyas with their heady scent? I love how the staging is underplanted with cute little episcias. I guess these benefit from the shade and the residual water that drips down from when the cattleyas are watered. Cute little miniature cattleyas. This street is full of orchid shops, so let's have a look at another one, shall we? The Dendrobium bigibbum or Phalaenopsis hybrids are really pretty, but there are also Vanda alliance orchids, recognisable by their elegant trailing roots. They, of course, also have beautiful flowers. The collection I'd have if I lived in Thailand. We saw earlier how Spanish moss was used to hang underneath orchids, but in this shop they're using a variety of houseplants to underhang their orchids. These beautiful Dendrobium hybrids seem to be potted in coconut husks. So attractive. And just when you think you've found your favourite colour, there's a plethora of other beauties to challenge that. Dotted in here among the orchid shops are several houseplant specialists. The interior of this shop is really quirky and adorable, showcasing a variety of houseplants among miscellaneous ornaments. I think I even saw a ship in there. The display is overshadowed by this glorious giant aroid with distinctly orange stems. You'd need a very big room at home to house such a specimen. All of this looking at beautiful orchids but not being able to buy them has me itching to find some souvenirs to bring home. This shop over here looks promising and has such a variety of intricate clay pots that I feel sure I can find something to bring home here. Let's take a look inside. Of course, I can't buy anything too big or too heavy, but the pots with holes are really singing to me. They make excellent Cattleya orchid pots and are really difficult to source at home. Besides, you'd never find anything as individualistic as these. This one is just gorgeous and a very good size, not too tiny. I must confess that I didn't engage in any haggling at plant markets in Thailand. When the original price is so reasonable, it would seem petty to try and beat the vendor any lower. Generally, I found Thai people very friendly, second only to Malaysia. It's time now for some refreshments, so my husband tells me, and a sit down. And what better than some coconut water? The lid of this one isn't cut through, so I'll just wrestle with it here for a bit. But I can just stick the straw in from the side and drink it. I'm feeling quite smug and self-satisfied this morning and very happy with how this visit is going. It's very laid back at Kham Thiang Market, and although there are no real rarities like a Chatuchak market in Bangkok, there are plenty of beautiful and captivating things to see. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, do check out the 4 I made about Chatuchak market in Bangkok, linked in the description below. But now it's time for a bite to eat, accompanied by sticky rice. Yum yum. It's back to work now, if you call a leisurely stroll around a gorgeous plant market work. Let's go into this shop next. A bare root desert rose greets us. The poor thing looks like it's being tortured over here. They must be drying it out. There are lots of cacti and succulents here. We already saw at Chatuchak market how much Thai people love their cacti. Once again we have the red gymnocalcium, so popular in Bangkok, and some grafted offerings. Over here we have caudex plants, mostly Stephania, starting at Thai baht 380. That's $11. There are various Aroid cuttings too. And over here we have a gorgeous, enormous air plant. This is Tillandsia, just like the Spanish moss, but it sure looks different. Here we have some tiny clay pots, and this one has a froggy sculpted into the side of it. It's so cute. This is the man who makes the clay pots, and he's hard at work hollowing out a new one. He has a kind of scraping tool which he uses to carefully excavate the wet clay. This shop is quite extensive, selling a vast range of clay pots and seemingly specialising in cacti and succulents. The tables and shelves are a sea of silver from the cacti on offer here. There are many handsome cristate specimens too. Cacti usually grow from a point at the top of the plant. This normal growth is called apical growth, but sometimes things go wrong. If the growth point becomes elongated, then the plant can start to grow outwards like a fan or crest. These types of plants are called cristates, and many are very popular with collectors. These specimens resemble brains. Over here, many large cacti are being rooted in sand. And over here we have some more examples of gymnocalcium hybrids with their desirable red and orange coloration. In this tray, the leaves of Echeveria are being propagated, and already in some instances we can see small plantlets emerging. There are loads of quirky pots here. Many are small in size and perfect for bringing home. Ones with an overhang, however, are a little bit more difficult to pot up. You need to choose the right plant. And here we have some examples of the Thai sense of humour. Well, I found a few pots that I want, so it's time to buy them. There are marked prices on many items here, making it easy to know what to pay. However, I'll just follow this gentleman here around the shop while he checks the prices. You'll note that a small but notable number of people in Thailand and Malaysia are still wearing masks as a result of the worldwide COVID pandemic that kept us all at home for so long. It seems though that I overcalculated the price of these pots because I got some money back. Always nice. We're outside again and are confronted with a beautiful wall of colour. Just think how much fun it'd be to plant up a garden over here. In this stall we have banana plants for sale, and we also have Pride of Burma. This is a tropical tree with flamingo pink flowers with long curving filaments. It's followed by the sumptuous purple wreath vine. The colours are just amazing, and I saw this a lot in temples in Thailand, despite the fact that it originates in tropical America. I'm a big fan. This looks to me like a creamy white version of the purple wreath vine, Petrea volubilis, but can you still call it purple wreath when it's white? This is the Norfolk Island palm, a conifer that originates in the external Australian territory of Norfolk Island. I think these beautiful yellow-orange flowers belong to Tecoma fulva, a tree or small shrub from South America. Down here are some hardwood cuttings all bundled together. I don't know what they're from though. And finally, we have some baby palm trees. See how they've been sprouted directly from the coconuts. The coconut is such an enormous seed. And speaking of coconuts, earlier we saw them as pots for orchids, but here they're pots for ferns, complete with a tail of Spanish moss dangling down below. I think I've come to appreciate hanging plants so much more since my time in Thailand. These baskets look like annuals, ones we might have at home. Annuals are, of course, still annuals, even in tropical countries, but their cycle starts and finishes differently. While in Chiang Mai, I did try to visit a flower farm, enticed by magnificent Instagram photos taken in fields of bloom. Unfortunately, as the taxi driver who brought me to the closed farm explained, in March we had already missed this opportunity by a few weeks. So there we go. I'm really happy with the purchases I made, the clay pots, and in just a few minutes I'm going to take you back to my hotel room and go through what I got, because I'm sure you want to see. And that's the great thing about being somewhere like this. You can buy beautiful, beautiful pots cheaply and it's not a problem to bring them home, whereas the plants we can't be buying. They don't have CITES certificates, so they can't come home. So thank you for joining me, and do stay tuned because we're going to have a look at those pots now. So here I am with my purchases from the flower market, and it is a beautiful selection of clay pots. Before I just talk you through them, I just want to show you these seeds that I picked up. Shoya, from Shoya trees, the really big tropical trees here, and as you can see, the seeds have very large wings which help them when they fly down. So yeah, just thought that was vaguely interesting. So I have pots, and I guess I'll start here with the big pots, and I got two clay bowls, and clay bowls are always at a premium at home, so difficult to find. I thought this was nice because it has a bit of a design here. It has a crinkly top which makes it more attractive, and of course a bowl is great for potting up any kind of succulent. In the same shop I got this one here, which is pretty much the same thing, slightly different design. There they both are together, and they're gorgeous. And these two were 50 baht each, so 100 baht is €2.60, so €1.30 each, which is really a bargain. And over here you'll see the orchid pot that you saw me buying in the video earlier on, and isn't it so pretty? I believe this is actually handmade, because all the cutting, I'm not sure if it is, but anyway, it's beautiful, lovely design. And again, it's kind of like a double pot, and you'll have seen in my Chatuchak video where I had a look at various pots in the market there, all of which were really heavy. I suppose that means they were good quality, but these are quite light, so quite convenient for bringing back. And this one, my goodness, this one was really cheap. This one was 25, I think, 25 baht, which is a really small amount. So now we move to the pots here at the very front, and we have some really quirky little dotes here. So this fella here, who's got his hands up and he's got two eyes and he's got a big open mouth, and a plant that kind of wants to cascade out a little bit would be perfect in him. So I thought he was just adorable. And he has a friend just here, over here. So this is his friend, who I think there's definitely a family resemblance because the eyes are very similar, and I just have to be very careful not to break the lip here. But these ones I do believe were handmade, because there were lots of them, and each one, the eyes were all similar, but they were all differently positioned, and the faces were all slightly differently positioned, some with open mouths and some with closed mouths and everything. So really pleased with that. And then just over here on the left we have the tiny little froggy pot. Now this thing is absolutely adorable. Look at the frog on it. It's a tiny little pot, and we've a perfectly made frog there. And you'll have seen the guy who sold this to me making it in his studio. Well, not making this one, but making another one, because he makes all the pots himself. I didn't mind paying 100 baht for it, which is like €2.50. It's nothing considering the amount of work that went into it. And I love the little legs at the base of the pot as well, just lifting it up that bit so that the water can drain off. So that's my froggy pot. And since we're talking about pots, I just brought out the 3 pots that I bought at the Chatuchak market. So not at the flower nursery, but the Chatuchak market a few days ago. So first of all we have this one, which is again a small pot, has a hole in. but it could do well for something that had a longer root run than is normal for succulents. So there are some that are like that, and so that'll be great. And then just over here on the other side, we've got, I'll just take my Shoria seeds out. We have two very similar little pots, slightly different colouring, holes in them, gorgeous, and just super for potting up very, very small succulents. So those are my purchases from the flower market, together with the few little pots I bought at Chatuchak market up there in Bangkok. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope if you ever find yourself in Chiang Mai that you will make your way along to the flower market, because it certainly is very, very interesting for us gardeners to see what gardeners around the world have at their disposal. And yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, these are very cheap for me, but perhaps on a Thai wage these aren't super cheap. But I'm very pleased with them anyway. Oh, I forgot to mention the little orchid pot has holes for actually hanging it up. So. Okay, thank you as always for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!